Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the AP Microeconomics series on AP for Teens. Today, we're going to be talking about supply and demand, part 1. And why is it called part 1? We're going to focus on the more easily understood concept when it comes to the relationship between supply and demand, and that is demand, because demand is typically looked at from a consumer's perspective, and everybody's been a consumer at some point in their life. So, last time we discussed two different things. We discussed 3 different economic systems, and we discussed the pros and cons of both those systems. And actually, I'm starting to use cards now, so if you look up at the top right corner, there'll be a card there if you want to see that video. Now, in this episode, we're going to discuss something different. We're going to discuss how demand works from the consumer's perspective, from their point of view. So let's get started. Now, you always want to ask the question to get to get a base of what exactly we're going to be talking about. So in this case, our question is, what is demand? Now, demand, its official definition, is how much consumers want of a certain product at a certain price. And the demand curve displays the relationship between the quantity demanded and the price of a good. Now, what does that mean? What is a demand curve? Well, it looks like this. As you can see, the quantity demanded is on the bottom, on the x-axis, and the price is on the y-axis, and that's in whatever unit you want to use it. In this case, I'm making it US cents, and this is probably an unrealistic example of the quantity of limes, because let's face it, nobody's buying more than a couple limes. You're not buying 10 limes unless you've got somebody who's a fan of limes, I guess. So the demand line, while it looked like that, it should look more like this to make it a little bit more easier to understand. You can clearly see the relationship between a decreasing price and an increase in the quantity of limes bought by consumers. Now, the green line, which is the one that isn't as straight, is the actual demand curve, while the blue line is a more simplified version that makes it easier. We're going to focus mainly on the green line for this perspective because of the chart. Now, this is called a demand schedule, and you can see the comparison between the quantity demanded by consumers and the price of each lime. So you can see at 60 cents, one lime is demanded, at 54 cents, 2 limes is demanded, etc., etc., etc. You can see the clear relationship. Now, the laws of the land. There are a couple of laws involved in demand and dealing with demand. The law of diminishing marginal utility is the decreasing satisfaction from additional units of a good. The law of demand states that as the price of a good rises, the quantity of that good demanded by consumers falls, and vice versa. So you can see that here with the demand curve, you can see clearly that as the price of the good rises, you can see that the quantity demanded falls. You can by looking more towards the top left corner, and you can see that in the chart as well. The market demand. This is found by adding the demand of all of the people in the market. So when you take a market schedule like I have here, we're going to put the price of the pens and the quantity demanded by 4 different people. These are just random people. Allie, Mackenzie, Sherry, and Florin. Now, the price of a pen, we're going to put these prices on because they're relatively easy to work with. And we're going to say random numbers for how many pens they want. Maybe school's starting. So they're going to buy a certain number of pens depending on the price. Now, as you notice, as the price drops, the quantity of pens increases. The law of diminishing marginal utility states that as the price drops and you buy more pens, each pen is going to have less and less value. Originally, it's going to be used to write that all-important essay, and then eventually, when you buy your, say, 10th or 12th or 16th pen, you're probably just using it to maybe, do extra, make sure you have extra ink for your other pens or something. Now, the total market demand is when you add up the total demanded for each person. So when $1.50 is the price, Allie's going to buy 3, Mackenzie buys 2, Sherry buys 4, Florin buys 1. That gets you a grand total of 10 pens. And then as you can see, when you add up the remaining columns, rows, you get the total market demanded. And you can see it's increasing with time. And that's market demand. That's demand in general. Answer the question down below. Look at your life experiences. Have you ever wanted something more because it was more expensive? If so, why do you think that is? What type of good do you think it is? It doesn't make sense for you to want something if it's more expensive. Yet there is an economics term for this. Do you know what it is? Answer the question. Answer the question in the comment section below. Thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, subscribe, leave a comment, or like the video. All in the sections below. Answer the question in the comment section below as well. Thank you very much for watching, and take care.